everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Corey Wilder. I'm the Director of Marketing, and I'm also a clinical faculty member at the Murrow College of Communication. Thank you so much for being here for this virtual LinkedIn workshop. You can get ready to stand out from the crowd now. Please note we're monitoring both the question and answer section here in Zoom as well as our live stream for questions from all of our participants. So you can post anything you have in your mind there, and I'll make sure that our host receives that information. We're fortunate today to have Anna Centrella Thayer leading our webinar. Anna is the owner of Influencers Edge Consulting and Academic Success Coaching. She's also a Murrow grad and a member of our Murrow Professional Advisory Board. And Anna, thank you so much for sharing your time and your experience and your expertise with us today.
You are so welcome. I'm excited to be here today to share some really great tips and hints for all you Cougs out there. I feel like I should do a welcome, such as like welcome all you cool cats from Tiger King, you know, but here we go. This is all for Cougar Nation. I am here today to share with you tips and hints that I have learned over the last 10 years of being a LinkedIn quote insider. And the tips that I'm going to share with you today will impact everybody who is on this call, whether you are an undergrad, whether you're a grad student, whether you're faculty, whether you're staff, it doesn't matter, because LinkedIn is the only place that you have to be nowadays. For you to be a professional in any sense of the word, to have any sense of presence on the internet, it's through LinkedIn. And that's why it's super important that us Murrow and WSU folks really take the time and the energy to put the effort into making sure our profile is really good. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys now. And my plan is I am going to be walking you through what I have learned as, like, if I could get this in somebody's brain, these are like the 5 things I want to make sure they walk away with. I work with Murrow students as a Murrow mentor, and I have learned through those relationships where students have challenges, where they don't understand what they're supposed to do with the LinkedIn, and it is a kind of different mindset. So I'm going to take all that experience that I've learned and then all my professional experience and share with you kind of from both sides, if you will, from the candidate side, if you're looking for work, and then also the recruiter side. I have the luxury of also having the recruiter membership for LinkedIn. So I'm going to share that with you guys too as we go along. So today there's really 5 key things that we're going to go over today. We are going to talk about the different profile sections. You know, you've probably heard a million times about like the about section, my summary, blah, 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 blah. But today I'm going to really share with you some of those key nuggets that your profile, there's no such thing as perfect. So this is about getting you the foundation to be able to build on it as you go. Because building your profile is something that you do consistently. It's not like you do it one time and you're done. So this is kind of like, all right, if I have a foundation, Anna, what should that foundation look like? And how could I help my odds of being seen and increase my brand? So that's what we're going to go over today, those things. We're also going to go, and I'm going to share with you the recruiter view. So you can see what looks like from all the recruiters across the country looking to hire candidates. And that's why you will understand why what I'm telling you is so important, because it ties in dramatically with exactly what recruiters are searching for. And then we're going to talk about you just got to do it, because a lot of times when we are students, I have 4 children. I have a WSU student right now who's a freshman. I understand that students are not necessarily trained and coached a lot how to talk about themselves, so it can be uncomfortable. So we're going to talk about that, so you just get out there and get your name known. All right? And we're also going to have some times to break in between for Q&A, because I want to make sure if there's key questions, and they're typically questions that everybody else would love to hear about, we're going to go over those too. So I really would like to make it as interactive as possible, because this is good stuff. All right, and maybe some of you don't know, but these are the sections of your profile, and they have been renamed by LinkedIn over the years. But this is the areas that we're going to talk about. We're going to go over your professional headline, your summary, your about section, your features and links, education, volunteer, skills, recommendations, accomplishments, and interests. And I'm going to give you the nuggets for each one of those sections. All right, let's talk with these things are key, you guys. Get out your pad of paper, get on your laptop, whatever you got to do. First of all, you have got to have a professional headshot. And it does not have to be that it was taken by a profession. It just has to be a headshot that's you only. No pets, no distractions, no side shots, your face directly. So think of this, you guys. LinkedIn is your online brand. So how do you want to look online when everybody's searching your name? So that's super, super key. You've got to have a headshot because your chances of being seen by a recruiter without a headshot go down 85%. So like if you were dating somebody, would you ever want to date someone on a dating site that you couldn't see what they look like? Heck no. So you need to have a headshot. You also want to customize your LinkedIn URL. When you automatically sign up on LinkedIn and you're starting to build your profile, you are going to be given a URL that you can change. And why? Why is that important? It's important because you are then able to put your personalized URL on everything that you put out in the world going forward, such as end of your on email, your signature, you could have your LinkedIn URL. And everybody really understands who's been in the professional world that people who know how to use LinkedIn customize their URL. So we're going to talk about that in a second. I'm going to show you a little bit. And then the other key thing that I've learned through my own human error is making sure you turn off connections seen all your upgrades. As you're building your profile and you're say a junior you're an undergrad, you're going to constantly be building this profile. So you don't necessarily want everybody to see every single edit and change you make. So you turn that off so they don't. And that's kind of key. Location. Number 4, you guys, location is a deal breaker, an absolute deal breaker. And I'm going to tell you why and what that means, because it's very confusing if you aren't familiar with LinkedIn, you think, oh, location means where I'm at right now. And not necessarily, it shouldn't. And it will only hurt you if that's the case, if you're looking for work. Also, key thing is checking your name on LinkedIn. Check to see where you show up in the search. So if you have a very common name, I'm going to show you a technique to make sure that you come up in the first page of a search. So, when you're searching, you're looking for like best restaurants to eat in Seattle, you look at the first page of search. You typically, the consumer does not go to second or third, and a recruiter will not go past the second page. So it's important that your name rises to the top. And then to go along with that, adding your initial can be a trick to you. So let me show you some of these things that we're talking about right now. Headshot kind of a given, so I'm not going to go over the given, but I want to talk to you about the name thing, because that's kind of a big deal, especially if you have a common name. So I just put in Jennifer Smith on my LinkedIn. And when I typed in Jennifer Smith, over 26,000 people came up with that name. 26,000. Granted, that's a heck of a lot, probably more than most people, but you want to put your name in on somebody else's computer, not on yours, or use a different search engine, because you want to see where you show up in the rankings. And if for example, your name is pretty common, or you're like down maybe 10 or 12 names, put a middle initial, because then the middle initial will separate you from the rest of the folks. And let me tell you why this is important, you guys. Is a recruiter is not going to go through 26,000 people to find the Jennifer Smith that they're looking for. They're just not. So you need to make it easy. Think like this. Think everything you're doing is to make it easy for people to find you. So when I'm giving you these tips, they're all things that will help you rise to the top of LinkedIn search. LinkedIn search, because it's basically a huge filing cabinet of over 500 million users. So your goal is to get you weeded out of those 500 million users, so that you get to the top. And one of the ways is by changing and adding a middle initial, if that's the case. So definitely do that. Check it today once we're done with this. When we talk about URLs, I just showed you a couple of examples here, and hopefully you can see them. I've got the yes and the no. So these are 2 students that I've been working with at WSU right now. One is graduating this week and one's a junior. And they both customized their URLs. And I also then picked 2 other students who are, I think they're both UW students actually. They did not customize. So you can see when you don't customize, you have numbers, little letters after your name, all that kind of stuff. And it just doesn't look professional. And it's something super easy that you can then customize so that you can get your name out really easy. Let's talk about how you're going to do that. And for those of you folks who haven't done this yet, you're going to click on the top icon where your name is, your visual picture of yourself on your homepage. You're going to click on it. Then you're going to go under security and privacy, which I've got here on the slide, and it says edit your public profile. You're going to click on edit your public profile. Once you click on that, it's then going to ask you, do you want to change your URL? You can see on the top right-hand corner, do you want to customize your URL? Some of you folks may get your full name as your URL, which I did. There was nobody else who had Anna Centrola Thayer. If I had only done Anna Thayer, there were a ton more. So I used a maiden name in there. But you can play around, and for maybe your name is taken, you could add your middle initial and see if the URL exists. So really a good tip, go under your privacy section, click on edit public profile, customize your URL, and you can kind of play around with it. Once you have that URL, that's what you want to put on everything that you put out into the world about you. That you've got to make sure you're consistent across the board, whether it's Snapchat, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter, whatever it is, that you're consistent so that people can find you and kind of understand what your web presence is like. The other thing that I mentioned to you, those top 5 that are super, super important, is your professional headline. That is the name, that's the sentences that go underneath your visual picture. It's called headline for the profile section. This is super, super important, and it's the #1 SEO that's pulled by recruiters. So whatever you put in that headline section is what's going to help you get seen by recruiters. The default on LinkedIn is that your last position will automatically default to your headline. You do not necessarily want that. If you are looking for work, you don't want that. If you are a professor or you are a lecturer and you are just keeping your brand, absolutely that can be the case for your headline. But for job seekers, no, you will be changing your professional headline. And I'm going to give you some examples. Why, again, is because that is what is the #1 search area when recruiters go in and look, and they look for keywords that match jobs, positions, skill sets that they're looking for. So that's where you have to keep thinking, hey, if I was trying to find somebody who was really good in PR, somebody who had really great writing skills, I want to find those folks. So you're going to use those words in your search, and that's what recruiters do. So your headline wants to be able to show that. And your headline, people don't understand, you have 120 characters that you can fill it up. Fill it up. Use every 120 characters that you can. Because the more, the higher your odds of being seen are. So your job, again, is to increase your chances of being seen. So let me show you. This is Cassandra. She's graduating. She's a Murrow grad. And you can see under her name, she added a middle initial because she was on like second or third page of search. She has put down social media, marketing, coordinator, decisive, public speaking, cross-functional. We went through and looked at keywords that jobs she was interested in were using. And that's how we came up with these. Because when we were searching and people, and the jobs that Cassandra is interested in, these were dominant keywords in those searches. So she has put that. And you'll also notice she's got San Jose, California. This is really, really important for all of us to understand that she originally had Pullman as her destination, but when recruiters are searching for people to hire, they're searching for the cities they want to hire them in. So if you put Pullman, and let's say you want to become a social media marketing specialist, you're probably not going to get seen by a lot. So you want to put the location of where you want to be. Now, if you are a grad student who is like in the vet program or who is getting their PhD at Wazoo, you can have Pullman. That's fine. That's where I'm saying you're always going to be changing your LinkedIn. But if you are a job seeker, you want to put where you want to be moving to and make sure that's in there because that will be part of the search. Here's another student that I've been working with. She's a junior. And so Cameron is looking for internships and for some summer jobs. And then we're kind of beefing her up ready for her graduation in a year. So she's got greater Seattle area as her area. She's a student at WSU right now. but she's put that because that's where she wants to find employment in. And you'll notice, you guys, on these screenshots I have, you'll see that there says message and view in recruiter. That's because I have a recruiter membership. So as somebody who, because I hire a ton of people, I can use my view in recruiter. And this is what somebody who is looking, say, maybe to hire a broadcast entry-level position in greater Seattle area, that person would then go click on view in recruiter to see if Cameron fit what they're looking for. So the key thing here, let's remind the key takeaways here is the name. If your name is really common, add a middle initial or a whole middle name if you need to. 2, your headline, 120 characters. You get 120. Use them all. You can create your own dashes. It doesn't have to be a sentence, and I do not recommend a sentence for an undergrad who's looking for work. If you're a more senior executive level, that's fine, and you're not looking for it. But for those looking for work, I really want you to put the keywords in there. So you can see that this is how it looks different than folks who just say student, student at WSU. That's not going to help you in your job search at all. I've mentioned keywords several times, and I know a lot of you have been taking like SEO, Google search, analytics, and things like that in class, and you've heard the term search engine optimization. And it sounds repetitive as heck for me to keep talking to you guys about this, but it's everything. Once again, there are 500 million users. So you know how to add keywords and you put them into your profile, you'll be seen over the other candidates who are not aware of this little tip to do. Let's take a breather here for a second. I'm curious, are there any questions right now, Corey, at this point?
Yes, actually, there are a couple, just 2 right now. The first one is about putting a state name. So it sounds like, do we put the state in the
location?
Description? Yeah, your location, the name of your state. Does that?
Yes. So what you could do is, for example, I'm hiring a lot in Denver right now. So when I'm searching for folks, I don't just put Denver, I put greater Denver area, because I want to be able to pull from the little cities around it. So I would suggest
Anna, I think you froze for a minute there. I think you froze for a minute. You're back on now.
Oh, am I back on now?
So you were talking about a state name, and that you said you could put the Denver area, and that's where.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what I would put. I would put more of a regional name, a regional term to it. That would help you be seen better. Because like when I'm hiring in the Denver area, I'm not putting Colorado in. I'm putting greater Denver area.
Okay. And then the second question is one that I'm sure many people have, and they're wondering if your slides will be available after the meeting.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. We Coug share everything.
Yeah. Well, terrific. Thank you. And for now, that's all we have. So I encourage people in chat, or even better in the Q&A, if you have any questions, please do post them and we'll make sure that Anna gets them.
Yeah, please do, you guys. There's no dumb questions, because it's not intuitive. I have found, even though I've been using it for years, LinkedIn is not necessarily intuitive, and they do change a lot. I've been training folks on how to use and how to really build up their profile for the last 5 years. And I constantly have to be looking at how they're changing things, different wordings and regulations that they've got. So don't ever feel like a question's not valuable to everybody. Now let's talk a little bit about the about section and the summary section. If I were to pick a section that probably intimidates everybody the most, it's this section. And it's just kind of like, what? Where do I start? Where do I begin? I'm supposed to talk about myself. It's kind of a weird feeling in the first time, but trust me, you're going to get really comfortable doing it. And my tip is just write it. Just start. Do not ever think I have to make this perfect. And I know, man, I know when we're students and we're graded and we got to like look at every little detail, I'm going to ask you guys to let that go. Like use all the skills you have, be grammatically correct, get people to help you be grammatically correct. And it's written in the first person. So let's be clear, there's none of this third person anymore. It's all first person. And you can have up to 250 characters. So use them and use them to talk about who you are. Now, this is what's really interesting. LinkedIn is, a lot of times I refer to it as like your resume online, but it's also more than that. It's your chance to kind of give people a better feel about yourself and who you are as a person, especially when you're new in the professional world and you don't have maybe a ton of work experience. So it's okay to talk about, I'm a junior at Washington State University studying blah, 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 blah. I'm hoping to have a career in blank and blank. In the past, I've been really successful doing blank, blank, and blank. Just start with 2 small 3 to 5 sentences in a paragraph, 2 of those, bullet points, and maybe another paragraph with 3 to 4 sentences. So you don't have to go crazy on this. And I'm going to challenge all of you, just do it. I mean, this is really where when I've been working with Murrow grads and Murrow students, this has been our biggest obstacle. They're like, wait, I feel really awkward. It's weird. You know what? Just start doing it and then it'll get better. And you can keep changing it. When you do it once, you're just going to keep adding and get better at it. The other thing I really suggest you do is go look at other people's profiles and see who you like. See which ones you really, that read well to you. And then you can kind of take their style and make it your own, because you don't have to necessarily start from scratch. You can get some really good ideas. So this is the part where you just want to start, get something up there. Doesn't have to be perfect. And you're gonna do many iterations of this, many. So don't hold yourself back or wait I have to make sure this is perfect. Part of the about section, and then right below about section, is an area that you can add links. And this is what's really great is, and I know a lot of Murrow grads do portfolios, and there are other class requirements that you've created these amazing maybe projects, maybe you had to do a mock business. All of those kind of links are things you would add here. This is where you want to add any type of blogging you've done, any type of photos of you doing what you're saying you do, because that's another proof point. There's also any type of websites that maybe you've built. I've had a couple of my students put their portfolio link on there. The reason this is important is, let's go back again to raising yourself up over the 500 million. Links are dense and they make your profile heavier, and heavier makes you surface more to the top. It's a fact. The heavier and more content your profile has, it will be higher up in the search when recruiters go look for you. So when you're an undergrad and maybe you're like, well, I don't really have that much experience, your links can really help build your content, really help it. And I probably look at links more than experience when I'm recruiting people, because the link is basically a proof point that you've done what you say you do. And it's a visual, so I can see, oh, actually Cameron really did do this, or so-and-so did this, or wow, look at how they really created this and when they were in school. So links are great. And again, you can keep adding links as you go. So when things come up, like I added the link that Corey sent me about this webinar that I'm doing for you guys. I added that to my profile. Any little thing like that you want to add, and it just makes people feel like they have a better understanding of who you are, and they feel like they're like, okay, I kind of can see the work this person can do. If you are a Cable 8 student and you've got some film of stuff that you've done with Cable 8, put that on there. If you've got like background work of building sets or setting up key grip things, put that up there. You really cannot go wrong with the link section. And it's going to make you feel, and it's going to make you look like you've got a lot more content, because in reality, you guys do. Even as an undergrad, you have a lot more to share than you think you do. And your point and the goal of the profile is to get everybody to see who you are, get a better feel for you, so that they will then want to reach out to you. So links are a very big point. Now, this was a really interesting thing for me when the next section after links talks about experiences. And I'm really glad LinkedIn changed this a couple of years ago. It used to be job experiences or work experience titled. Now they just call it experiences. So that's really great for students, because it doesn't mean you had to have gotten paid. this could have been something that you did in maybe your fraternity. It could have been something you did if you were ASB student. It could have been a job you had working in Murrow as an internship, or it could have just been like an assistant to professor. So experience section does not have to be stuff that you've been paid for. It's your experiences. It could have been that you've worked on cable 8 broadcasting. So that would be an experience. And you just want to put them in chronological order. My tip here is to list them out, include them, and then go back and start building the bullets underneath your experiences. I recommend bullets. I recommend them for students. I recommend them because as a recruiter, that's what I like to see. I'm not going to read a lot. So I want to see what Cameron accomplished when she was working on Cable 8. I want to see what Cassandra did when she was membership director at Sigma Kappa. So you would then include bullets with your accomplishments and what you did, the outcome. So the tip is here, put your experiences in chronological order, then go back and start doing the bullets. You can do this and building your profile at different times a day. It's not like you're sitting down one time and doing all of this. So don't feel that like, oh my God, Anna, I got to sit down now and figure all this out. No, you can build section by section. That's why you turn off the view section so people can't see every edit that you have made. Now, when you're talking about your experiences, this is again where you're going to put in keywords. Keywords are the things that you've seen across other profiles and other jobs that come up in searches. And you add, the more keywords you put into your profile, the more likely you are to be seen by a recruiter. So I'm going to show a little bit more how to get that, because that can be like, wait, where do I get keywords? How do I do that? And it's really helpful. We have 100, you have 100 spaces for your job title. So max it out, max it out. Don't just, you don't even just have to say like director of blank. You could put director of blank that accomplished blank, blank on blank in your headline, even under that experience. So I'm going to share with you now, we're going to take a little break from the profile because there's a lot of information I'm giving you guys. And I know that the key takeaway so far that I want to make sure you understand is that your location is really important. Location's key. Your name, that you are on that first page of search. You absolutely have to use another search engine to be able to check it right, because if you've been searching for yourself, it's going to show up as a #1, but you want to use it on a blind that doesn't have that experience, so knows the algorithm doesn't know to look for you right away. And you also want to make sure that you are using keywords. So right now, Recruiter by LinkedIn, it's a paid service that people who are doing a lot of hiring will use. It's the #1 tool recruiters are using right now to hire and find people. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a background to this because I have this membership so you can see. This is my view. When I'm on my recruiter view, and this, I wanted you guys to kind of see on the left-hand side, you see where it says job titles, locations. So candidate geographic locations. That's why if you have Pullman there, it's not going to serve you unless you want to live in Pullman and stay there, which is fine. But if you're looking for somewhere else, you need to put in the other areas. You could have multiple locations too. You can do that. And you see skills and assessments on the left-hand side. As the recruiter, I would be typing in those things so that I'm typing this information in so that those people that fit, I want a social media coordinator. And then let's say I put Seattle greater area, who's got great written skills, verbal skills, blah, blah, blah. If that is in your profile, if those words are in your profile, you will come up in my search. If they're not, you're not going to come up. And that's what's really crazy. You're not. So that's why keywords are super, super important, because when you have those in there, you're going to have the opportunities of showing up in my search. Let me give you another example of the review from the other side of the house. So for example, when I am looking to hire somebody new, it's called a project, and I need to title my project, could be sales development reps in Denver. And then I write my description, which has got keywords in it. And I've got location again. When I type in the description and what I'm looking for, that is what then the back end of LinkedIn is going through all the profiles trying to find who's got this, who's got this experience. And that's the search part of it. So that's why when I talk to you about having your profile be dense, that's why you need to have it dense. Because the more verbiage you have in there and the more content, the more higher likelihood you are to be discovered on LinkedIn. Because that's how I'm typing it in for you. So you can see, this is another screenshot of right now. I've got a couple of roles that I'm hiring for. Again, on the left-hand side, first thing is location. And I know it's super counterintuitive to not put in Pullman or just have that automatically, because it will default. So you definitely need to make sure that you're putting in the correct location. And then you can see here for one of my roles, I've got two candidates who are in the pipeline. This shows me as a dashboard as a recruiter where I'm at with folks. If I need to find more, you can see at the top where I've got projects, jobs, campaigns. I can go then search and create other campaigns of where I want to find candidates. Or if we're looking at opening up a new office, I can do a search to find out what our odds are of finding candidates that match what we're looking for in the new cities that we want to expand into. So this is what the LinkedIn recruiter sees. And this is why when we talk about the name, the URL, the keywords, the location, it matters. It matters because that's how they're finding you. Let's take a second here to see if there's any other questions so far.
Yeah, we have a bunch of them. First question we have here from Luke. Thanks for asking this question. He's asking, after we're graduated, we're updating our headline with our new position, correct? Is that right? Once you're hired?
Yeah, that could be your new, yeah, that I agree. That's probably what you would do in the very beginning. And then say, let's be real, say maybe a year in, you're going to start looking for something else. That's when you would change your headline.
Okay. And Luke, if there's a follow-up that you need, let me know. And we have a question here from Becky. Hi, Becky. Becky, I know Becky very well. Do you have any recommendations for students, older students entering the workforce? She said, I have over 20 years of experience, and that can really terrify an employer.
You know, you think it can, but it actually won't. I'm gonna challenge you on that. It doesn't. When you've got that much of experience, the same as like I do, you definitely can limit. You can cut out some stuff. You don't have to put everything in there. Your resume might have everything, but your profile doesn't have to. So you want to pick out, Becky, depending on if you want to change your career or do something a little bit differently, you want to adjust your profile to match where you want to go. That's kind of the rule of thumb. If you're content and you're really happy where you're doing right now, then you just kind of leave your profile. You just add links for new content that you've done at your work or whatever. But once you feel like you want to move into another field, then you kind of update and maybe you change some of the language around or even your experiences around that are relevant to where you want to go.
Okay, we have a couple more. One here from Jennifer. For the experiences section, do you recommend with your employment, right? It says, would you recommend listing special assignments at work? For example, leading a project team, leading an operational focus group, things like that. Where do those go? That's
a great question. I would absolutely do that. I would absolutely list those there. And if you were chosen to do something, I would put that as one of my bullets. Chosen to be the lead on blank and blank project. That's a great question.
Oh, and Jennifer said, you just answered it. Okay, cool. Becky is asking, should you have a link to your resume in there?
Yes, you do. There's a spot on your profile to have that in there. You absolutely do. And you could have a link to your portfolio.
Oh, so link to your resume and portfolio.
Yes. And if you have a personal website, that's what's so great, because I've been in business. I'm a little aged here from you guys, but you used to have like 5 different websites when you were first in business. Now everything can be like LinkedIn is the home base, and you can have your links on that to your other maybe websites or blogs or whatever it is you have.
Awesome, thank you. And then I have a couple more. We have a question about how do you address employment gaps? Any suggestions?
You really don't. On your LinkedIn, you don't. I would suggest you don't, unless, for example, you have maybe what I would recommend, if your company was bought out and you'd only maybe been there 4 years, I would put that underneath when it says why you left. you would add that company was bought out by blank and blank. But otherwise, I wouldn't address it.
So just even if you have these gaps in years, just leave them
Yeah,
there. And if they have a question,
yeah,
they'll ask you.
yeah.
Okay, very cool. I have, let's see, two, they're coming in fast and furious. Now, the
I
next one
love
is
it.
in the, in the experiences section. Should we list job duties in bullet form? I mean, or do they want conversational? What's the best way to get your keywords in there?
Yeah, that's a great question, you guys. I love that. What I would suggest is you maybe have 2 to 3 sentences as underneath. You got the title of the company, and then you have your maybe 2 to 3 sentences, and then bullets. Give me bullets. I make it easy for me to understand what you did. Highlight. Give me the highlights. But I would definitely have like 2 to 3 sentences, and then do the bullets.
Okay, very cool. And now we have two more. We have one from Jennifer here. Again, where do you store your resume? Oh, if you don't have a link to a personal website, but you want to link to your resume, do you have any suggestions of the best places to store your resume online?
Yeah, there is a section on the profile that you can add your resume at the very bottom. So you can just add your resume there.
Okay, very cool. Jennifer, if you have a follow-up to that, just let us know. And finally, we have a question from Amanda. Thanks for asking. If we have a personal website, does it work against us if we have like a .wix in our website URL? Do we really need to pay for a domain name?
I don't think it doesn't work against you. The only thing you want to make sure, and I'm kind of glad you guys brought these up because it helps me remember a few things, is you just want to make sure, first of all, that the name that you have on your profile on LinkedIn is the same name on your personal website. It's the same name on your resume. So let's say you added a middle initial, you want to make sure that that's on every piece of material that talks about you. So you don't have to worry about that stuff.
Okay, right now, I think that is all I'm seeing right here on the Q&A. So we
Okay.
can move on and I'll just keep my eyes
All
open
right.
for future questions.
Perfect, you guys. So this hopefully gives you kind of an idea of, on the back end side, how the recruiters are trying to find you, and it builds on why I'm telling you what you need to be doing. One of the next sections in your profile is volunteer. And volunteer, people used to kind of brush this off. It's really important, especially if you're a student, because you do a lot of volunteer work that you probably don't even realize or have kind of forgotten about. And when I've been working with students, I have found, like, they'll go, oh, I had a couple of volunteer things, and maybe we'll add like 2. And then like over the next week, they're going, wait, I did this and I did this, I did this. I'm like, yeah, you did. There's probably a lot more than what you realize you've done. So volunteer section, don't avoid it, add to it. Beef up your volunteer section, because for students, it can show a lot of like basically experiences. And do not worry if you put under experiences a volunteer role and you have it under volunteer too. It could be at both places. It could be in both places. So don't feel like it can only be in one or the other, because I think I even have it where it's in both sections. Again, it's building a dense profile. So no one's going to penalize you for having it listed in two different places. So think about everything that you've done, in whether it's any type of clubs, organizations that you've been a part of. Think about if there's any volunteer work you did in your department at school, at home, any of those kind of things, list them. Before, I wouldn't do anything before college. So yeah, I would avoid anything younger unless you're a freshman in college. Then otherwise I would just keep it to college and above for your volunteer work. And when you list your volunteer work, make sure you list the organization name and what you accomplished. Whether it's you ran or you managed a 5K for your sorority, for the philanthropy, whatever it is, you list those key things that you did for it. And that, again, is a place you can use keywords. For example, I wrote and did all the marketing for the such and such, Murrow Symposium or whatever it is. You can use keywords when you're describing your volunteer work. The thing is, people feel like, wow, let me give you an example. I've used the word media way too many times, or I've used the word communication or written skills. Don't worry about that. It's actually better to have it in more places. The more times you use keywords, again, your search will increase. So let's go then the next section, which is super fun and not intimidating at all. So I want you guys to really go crazy on this with your skills section. The skills section is then the second part that is most looked at and searched by recruiters. Remember I showed you on the left-hand side what the skills were and what I was looking for? this is coming from the skills section too. So you'll be pulled from any keywords that you use in skills will be pulled up in the search. You have a maximum of 50 skills that you can add. If you can, I would immediately get the 50. If you can't and you feel like intimidated and you're just kind of starting to build your profile, 10, get a 10 minimum, get 10 of them. And then you're like, well, Anna, what the heck? How do I find the skills? And what do I know the skills are? And blah, blah, blah. I've shown you here on this slide that you are then going to go on and look at the different skills that people are listing for jobs. And when you put in your skills, you can rearrange them. As I've shown you here, you can make them, you can get rid of them over time, or you can increase them so that they're raised up to the top of your skill section. So they're seen right away when people come to endorse you. The thing about skills is it does increase your odds of being viewed by 64%. So when I say get to 50, I really do mean it, get to the 50. When we're talking about skills, this doesn't mean you have to be like proficiently 100%. Like maybe you know Adobe, one of the Adobe tools, and you feel decent on it. You can list the Adobe. It's not like somebody is going to go check, check, check. Any of those skills you want to make sure are added because that's how people are going to be searching for you. When you say, Anna, where do I get the skills? Here you go. You go and you look at jobs that you might be interested in. And I just did a search here for social media, greater Seattle area. I clicked on social media coordinator for this one job, and they list these top skills that they are looking for to fill that role. If any of those skills are something that you feel like you could do, you add those skills to your profile. So you go look at the jobs you're interested in. You then look at the skills that they have listed. And if you feel comfortable, then you then add those to your skill section, because that's the recruiter. They're putting those things in. You're going to show up higher in the rankings. I suggest you look at least 5 jobs to get an idea of different skills. I would definitely do that because it's kind of crazy what people put down for skills. I mean, like team building. I mean, there's different things like customer service seems really vague. I guarantee you all have customer service experience. I guarantee it, because customer service is a very broad topic. So you need to have an open mind, and you might have to have some friends help you come up with skills because you're like, wait, I don't know if I have that skill. I don't know if I can do that. Make sure that you could get some other people to help you, even professors or your counselor, your advisor, get them to help you look at the skills. You can change your skills over time. Like I update my skills all the time because verbiage changes. Like in my world right now, command of the message and MEDDPICC are huge. 2 years ago, nobody even talked about command of the message or MEDDPICC. So I had to add those to my skills recently. So this is something you're going to be constantly changing and massaging and upping some, removing some, different things like that. So you want to do 5 jobs. You want to look at the skill section and you want to add ones you're comfortable to your profile. The next section after we go over is you want to look at recommendations are where you ask people to recommend and state how you did for whether you worked for them, whether you volunteered with them, whether they were a professor, it doesn't matter. But recommendations really validate the experience and validate the role you had. It's almost basically like your proof point. It's like, oh, okay, so Anna really did do this, because then you show that some people recommended you, like maybe your boss, maybe your professor, but it just gives validation. And I recommend that you have 2 recommendations per position, per experience if you can. You're not going to get those right away. So just start. And the thing that's really important right now, this time of year, you guys, for any of you who are seniors, anybody who's going to be leaving campus and not coming back next year, you want to ask for recommendations now. That success rate when you are still around the people or talking to them or in communication is much higher to get the recommendations back. The thing is, people are busy. And I found this out with my oldest daughter. She's 25. And she was like, Mom, I asked, my boss for a recommendation and I haven't heard back. I'm really kind of freaked out about that. And I have to remind her, everybody's super busy, honey, super busy. Don't ever take it personally. I've had to have people ask me 3 or 4 times. So you got to put on your, gumph and go after it here. So you be prepared to ask. And if you want to get recommendations right now from folks on the WSU campus that you're still communicating with, ask them now and ask them to please get this to you as soon as possible. Because it's just when there's pressure in people's minds, you have a higher success rate of getting them. Again, you can go back to get recommendations all the time. It's not a one-shot deal. You constantly will keep asking, and you just want to build that part of your profile. It's really a key element because it makes me kind of confirm that the person is there's what they say is what they have done. So 2 per position, ideally, that's what your end goal is going to be. But just start now asking. Be prepared to send out a good 20 to 30 asks for recommendations and maybe get 5 to 10. So do not take it personally if you're having a hard time getting recommendations. People want to help you. They absolutely do. Some people don't know what you want them to write, so they might ask you even to write it and then they'll edit it. Don't be afraid to do this. This is so common now. This is what everybody expects. You're not going to, don't feel weird about it. And I know sometimes it can be, but you just want to get the 2, ideally is the goal. So for example, this is from Cassandra. She's the one who is a senior and graduating from Murrow. I had her start asking folks that she's been working with and around to start getting recommendations. And she's got 4 already. So this is how you kind of start to build it. You start to build it and you think about who could I ask, and then just start asking. You just keep going. Don't get afraid to do it. Now, after the recommendations, there's an area that says interests, and people are always like, what do you mean by interests? And I'm not sure what I should put there or what that really looks like. The things that I recommend you do when it comes to interests is you save companies that you're interested in. You save them, and you go on LinkedIn, you go to their company website, their webpage, and you save it and you follow it. You want to follow companies, and I'm going to talk about this more and more here. You want to follow companies that you're interested in. And you say, why do I want to follow them? Because if you follow my company, I get notified that you followed my company, that you're following me. So I'm like, wow, wait, Corey's following us. And what are her skill sets? So you want to follow companies, and even if you're not looking for new work, follow them because they just get notified that you're paying attention to them. And again, you'll come up on their radar some way or another. The other thing is follow people. There may be some really big influencers in the industry that you care about. There could be professors, there could be presidents of universities that you're really interested in. Say if you want to be a professor at a different college, you would start following that president. You just want to be strategic and start paying attention to the people and the companies that you eventually would like to either get to know, who could influence you, or that you want to work for. So that's one of the areas that will show up on your profile. You see like companies that follow or interested in. And then also interest in your future field. So if you're currently a student, man, click on the jobs. Like if you want to work at ABC, follow ABC. If you want to work on Amazon, primetime videos, click on that. Any place that you eventually want to go, do that also. Because you'll start to get more notifications of things that those companies and those people are doing. And that's just a really great way to form a connection between you and them over time. It's like a slow bonding session that you're doing. Okay, I get it. There's been a lot of information. And again, these slides will be given to all of you. This is something that I want to really highlight is on the connection part. People say, wait, how do you have so many connections, Anna? And how are you a premier user? It's because you want to get at least 200 connections. Your goal is to get 200. And I tell you, you can get them. And I've listed here, parents, family, parents, friends, parents, alumni, professors, me. You ask to connect with folks. And people are expected to connect. And people know that now on LinkedIn. So don't feel weird about it. When they ask you to write a personal note, when they're saying for the connection, you definitely just want to write 1 or 2 sentences. It makes people feel more connected to you and more likely to accept. So these are just some of the ideas of where, especially when you're a student, you're like, oh my God, I don't have a big professional background. These are folks that you should absolutely feel comfortable reaching out to and try to get connections with. Finally, when we're almost done here so that we can go to a final Q&A is when I talked to you about saving jobs, following people, the thing is you want to make sure that you are searching jobs and look in the locations that you want to move by the title, and that you're targeting companies, and that you are looking at those responsibilities. So let me show you. Hopefully you guys have all seen this. If you go onto your LinkedIn profile and you click on jobs at the top, you would then type in what it is you want to be, it says search by title, skill, or company. You want to put in whether it's a social media, or whether it's a broadcasting intern, and then you want to put the areas. So you can see here again why this is super important, where you put the areas. Now this is when you are aggressively out there searching. Why I told you to put location where you want to work in the beginning is because that's for passive searches. That's for when recruiters are doing their own. Then they just go like I do and just search by the location of where I want to hire people. And then you can see where the positions are, and you go look at them, and then that's how you can save the skills, save the job. Because if you save a job, you guys, you save a job, I'm notified that you saved the job, even if you didn't apply. So here I show you, I have saved this job, social media content builder. By saving it, then this company has been notified that I've saved the job. So then odds are they're gonna go look at my profile. Because of that, I get a notice every day of who has saved jobs that I am hiring for. The other thing that you want to do, where my arrow is here, is you want to switch on job alert. So if you're looking for jobs in that certain market with that certain titles, you want to put on switch on job alert, so that you will get notifications when new jobs are popping up in the area you're looking for, with the titles and the skills that you're looking for. So this is really key. It is super easy to do. Like, you could sit and watch Netflix for 2 hours, and I guarantee you could probably save 100 jobs. And then you could just be building, and it's getting that momentum going, because then more and more recruiters. Now, the thing is, when you do this, you're going to get views by recruiters are going to look at you. You want to then connect with them. Absolutely connect with every recruiter. Don't think it's spam. Don't think someone's trying to just message you in. If it's a recruiter, definitely connect with them, because you want to be on their radar. You want to be on their short list, basically. You want them to go, okay, this is who, when I'm looking for blank and blank characteristics, I remember this profile, and I'm going to save her, like I showed you, to my project. So when that opening comes up again, I can reach out to them. For example, I have got one job opening, for 5 people, I should say, but I've had to turn it on and off 3 times due to basically the COVID definitely shot it off this last time. But I still get that list of who is interested in, so that when I can reopen that job, I will then contact those people. So I know we're running out of time here. So let me kind of give you some nuggets to make sure I really care about you walking away with, is that location piece, that you put in the correct area of where you want to be working if you're looking for a job, that you have a professional email and voicemail. This is across the board, especially for younger students, that if you have a Gmail account, that it's just your name. It's not like, funinthesun@gmail.com, none of that. You make sure it's ideally just your name, and that your voicemail has got the exact same thing that's on your profile. Keep it consistent across all media formats. And in that message, clean up your social media. Make sure your social media is all good, because they will search, they will look. And my company does background check searches. Some corporations want us to do social media checks. So keep your social media all clean. Again, turn on the job seeking preference, like I showed you on that little switch. The fun part that I only learned about like 3 years ago is LinkedIn keeps tabs of how often you're on it. And the more frequently you're on it and updating it, the higher your SEO goes up. So it increases your odds of being seen. The more you're on, the more you're adding, the more you're editing, just being online. So make it kind of like a daily activity. I really suggest that. And especially now when school's over, there's maybe some time and we're all in our SIP still, gives you an opportunity to kind of beef it up some more. 10 skills, 100 connections minimum, ideally 200. And then like I said, add new content. So let's open it up now for Q&A, because I know I gave a lot of information.
Okay, we do have a few more questions. So let's start with a couple from YouTube. We have a question from Cameron. I haven't created a professional website yet, but I do have a personal blog. Would you suggest adding that link to LinkedIn?
Yes, absolutely. Add a blog, 100%. That's huge because that shows written skills. Yeah, it's a really good thing to have if you've got it.
Terrific. Um, and now from Shayna, how do you go, or Shauna, sorry if I mispronounced your name, how do you go about getting people to endorse you? I can see that that would be kind of an intimidating thing to do.
Yeah, I totally get how that could be. Um, the thing is you want to open up the preference that allows people to endorse you. And so when as it's part of your skills section, and when you're adding the skills, people are endorsing you on those skills. So that's different than recommendations. So the endorsement is they're saying, yes, you do know that skill from somehow some experience they've had with you. They're saying they're giving you like a stamp. And then for the recommendations, that's one where you just really, it's a numbers game. The more you ask, the higher chances you'll get back. But the endorsements will come on their own. By you adding the skills, it's listed on your profile, and if you've got it so people are allowed to endorse you, then it does its own thing. You don't have to worry about it.
Fantastic. Okay, we have two more. From Becky had a follow-up question. She has all of this experience, right? But she's also making a tremendous change. So she's going from like an admin assistant type of work to broadcast news, and that's part of her concern. How do you address those kinds of large changes in your skill sets?
That's a really great question. What I would suggest you do is I would go back through my experiences and try to tweak any of my bullet points that could be relevant to the new arena you want to go into. Because there is a lot more crossovers than people realize. It doesn't mean just because you're good at broadcasting and admin, there's a lot of similarities that have to be covered in both. So I would look at the jobs, save those jobs, look at the skills, the new jobs, the new career you want are asking for. And then I would tie those in if you're comfortable with what you have done in your previous roles, because I guarantee you there is going to be crossover.
Okay, awesome. We have two more. Oh, we have three more. Four. Oh my goodness, they're just coming in. Do
I
you have
love
more
it.
slides, Anna, or do you want to just stop sharing so everybody can see you while you
Oh,
answer?
sure. I'll stop sharing.
Awesome. All right. So we'll just go down the list here. First question here, another one from YouTube. Is it appropriate to message people who work in an industry that I'm interested in, or is that a little too intrusive? Do you go directly to that person?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean by messaging. Do you want to meet them or do you want to connect?
I guess connecting with them, like through the way it reads to me is that you're going through and hitting a connect, and then you send a message to that person
Okay,
directly in order
got
to
it.
get them to really connect, that you really want to be a part of them.
Got it. No, I think that's fine. What I would recommend is when you ask to connect, that you do write a personal 2 to 3 sentences. And in that, you tell them, this is a career I'm really interested in going into. And I know you're a top influence with this area. I'd love to be connected. Really the more I have found in this area, the more real you are versus quote like textbook professional, the better. If you're just like a real person everyone can relate to that. Everyone can understand. We've all been in these situations. Go, oh, I get it. And to believe people want to help people. So that's what I would do. I would tell them why you want to connect, just really briefly.
That's great. If you have any follow-ups to that, let me know. We have a few more here. From Kendrick, do you recommend that we continue to use our WSU emails after graduation, the official WSU email address, or should we use a professional email that is not associated with the university?
I would do the WSU. I would definitely use that for a couple of years, especially if you're going to be a new grad. I would definitely use that.
Okay, so keep that WSU email alive, and then we
Yeah.
can find you as alumni as well, which is exciting for us.
Mm-hmm.
We have a question here about older students who've spent most of their life providing care for family, and you don't have a lot of experience. Any suggestions there?
You know, it's so interesting. I get that because I have a lot of really great girlfriends that really committed to raising their kids. So they were home with their kids for a while. But there are experiences in your life that are relevant. And I just going to challenge you to kind of think a little bit more creatively. Don't think so black and white. Like if you were running a household and you had maybe older parents, you can put that down as, household manager for blank and blank, and just kind of talk about it. It doesn't have to be this like line up to directly to a corporation. It doesn't have to be that. Give me a little, think of it as your narrative. What's your narrative? How are you? Like, I meet you and I'm like, gosh, tell me what you've been doing the last 20 years. What would that look like? And that's really what it is. And you can then go look on other profiles with similar people with similar backgrounds and then kind of see how they've listed it too.
That's really fascinating. So yeah, your personal narrative, your personal brand. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And we finally have one question from Jeff, who's interested to know if LinkedIn can actually even, oh, we have two more, be used as a customer relationship marketing system. Can you really work it that way in the software?
Oh yeah. It's one of my number one tools for selling to clients. If that's, and that's how I'm taking your comment. No, it's a huge selling tool right now, or whether you're, whether you've got your own marketing company and you're trying to get more clients, whether you want to be doing something over there, it's absolutely 100% do it. People use it all the time.
Okay, great question. And we have one more question that we can take today. We are at the end of the hour. So this is from somebody who is anonymous, and they want to know if you recommend sticking to a website that's very minimalist for your personal website rather than a more complex design with a tremendous amount of information.
I do. I would recommend that. And I also would not even, if you don't have one, don't worry about it. Don't make one. Because really your LinkedIn profile should be your home base. But if you have over your career and you've got this great website, I think the simpler the better. Because again, I've worked with some folks who their website was way too wordy, and it's like no one's going to read all this. So yeah, I think less is more in that sense, and make it just really easy visually to see and read.
Terrific. That's it right now. Like Anna said, link in with all of us. We're happy to connect with you and to help you along the way. And we thank you so much for being here today, Anna. This was fantastic. And I'll tell you, eye-opening for me as well. I have a tremendous amount of work to do on my own LinkedIn profile after this webinar is over.
Oh, I'm so glad, you guys. Seriously, absolutely link in with me. Tell me that you were on this webinar so I know. And I'm a connector. That's part of who I am and my mission. And so if I can connect you in any way with folks, let's do it. Let's Cougs help Cougs.
Fantastic. Thanks again, Anna. And we will see you soon. I know that you are going to be speaking in one of the classes tomorrow, in fact, which is really exciting. So again, we really thank you for your generosity to Merrill College and for your assistance here today. We're getting a lot of thank yous on the chat. And please come back and visit with us again.
I will. You guys, go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
Take care.